Hello, Night Nation. I'm Trace Rocco, joined by Adam Eaton. Welcome into the Sons of UCF Live. Adam, it is Red Raider Week.
Your beloved UCF Knights and your adopted Red Raiders, Trace. I can't wait to talk about it.
We are going to get into all of that, talk about football, the game at Texas Tech. But we got men's basketball going head-to-head with us. We don't normally like to go head-to-head, but we can't keep moving around. We're on Wednesday next week with Thanksgiving on Thursday. Men's basketball starts out slow, takes a lead at the half, and our man on the scene, Andrew Cherico, joins us now from the arena. Andrew, some news from UCF just before tip-off. A guy that had appealed a denial by the NCAA back in the lineup.
Yes, sir. As the game begins to start in the second half, UCF leads 31-18. Martellus Avery got eligible for this game. He was facing eligibility issues to begin the season. And let me tell you, he has made an immediate impact to start the game. He's been making great passes all around. He has a couple assists to Jalen, a couple assists all around. He's making great rebounds, great hustle plays, and his impact is felt in this game. Jalen Shelly, he continues to be the star of this UCF team. 10 points already at the half, and it doesn't look like he is slowing down, shooting 5 for 9 from the field, and there's more to come. CSF is shooting 6 for 25 at the end of the first half, which is a testament to UCF defense and how good they are. Because although they are shooting 6 for 25, UCF is only up by 3 at one point. So their defense has kept them in this game. We will continue to look out for Martellus Avery impact on the game, and we will continue to see how well Jalen Shelly continues to score. And as the second half starts to begin.
All right, we will check back with you in about 20 minutes or so. Perhaps you will have even better news about the Knights. Andrew Cherico live at the arena. Thanks for being with us. All right, a lot of background noise there at the arena, Adam. A little noisier than the quiet confines of our studios. All right, we'll check back with Andrew. Knights with a lead, started out slow. It is important, though, that they got Martellus Avery back.
Yeah, he had a couple of really good passes early on. Obviously, a really good story. You heard Coach Dawkins talk about his plight earlier. The NCAA very rarely gets things correct, Trey, so it was good to see that happen. Good energy from the Knights tonight. Again, an early 31-18 lead. We'll see if that can hold on, but he's an intriguing player. We had Ben Hazel tell us that he's a good outside shooter. You saw his passing ability. He can rebound. He can block some shots. So he may bring a little bit of that jolt, maybe that, that CJ Walker fill-in role that we were looking for. Maybe Martellus can provide that for UCF.
Yeah, we'll check back with Andrew in just a bit. Football, back to it, 2 in a row. Have you ever felt as good after a bounce house win as over Oklahoma State? That is a legacy Big 12 win.
Feel good until about 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, because like probably all of you out there, I was just waiting for that other shoe to drop. When is it going to happen? Is something bad going to happen? And man, it was a domination from start to finish. They came out firing on all cylinders: offense, defense, special teams. Again, some minor things here and there, but it almost makes you scratch your head, Trace, and go, where was that all season? If that was what we were capable of, how could we not bottle that in at some point in time? But it was a dominating performance. Look, I think a lot of us expected this to be a close game. We thought maybe we'd squeak it out. Nobody out there had this 45-3. Nobody had it this way, but I'm sure glad it ended up this way.
Knights now 2-5 in the Big 12, 5-5 overall. An award I didn't even know existed. They're the Cheez-It National Team of the Week. Did you know that award existed?
I love a good Cheez-It, Trace. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a good Cheez-It fan. Cheez-Its, Goldfish. My kids are always around the house. I'm a big Cheez-It fan. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Damari Henderson, the story as well. Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. Who'd have thunk UCF would have a Defensive Player of the Week, especially during that 5-game slide. Knights now 5-5, fighting for that bowl eligibility. As I mentioned, Red Raider Week, they are going to Texas Tech. Texas Tech also 5-5. Gus Malzahn, your Dodd Coach of the Week in college football. I asked him on Monday's availability, how does the team avoid a letdown in Lubbock?
You talked about the momentum that comes with this win Saturday, 2-game winning streak, but how do you and coaches make sure there's not a letdown that comes after a big win?
Yeah, I mean, we're fighting for a chance for a bowl. We're playing a team that's just like us. I mean, that's great. It's in the past. We'll think about in the off season, but we got our hands full. This is a really big game coming up. there won't be any kind of letdown as far as mental, especially with everything that we went through, this season.
You heard it from Gus Malzahn. There won't be any kind of letdown. I imagine that Mike Gundy was saying that a week earlier after the Bedlam win by Oklahoma State over Oklahoma.
Well, I mean, you got to hope, Trace, that this provided UCF a little bit of momentum, a little bit of, just belief that they can do this, that they are a good football team. They put this together 2 in a row now, and maybe they've reached the apex of kind of where they were supposed to be at. So you got to hope that this is like the spark that they needed. Maybe they go on a little mini run here to end the season. I would hope we don't see overconfidence. I think the guys kind of understand where things have been, and hopefully they get back there. But I would hope we're not overconfident, because certainly while we played well, there are certainly things that this team has had struggles with all year. Hopefully this is one of those games where they can continue that winning way, continue that streak, and put all that stuff back together. Are
you in the camp that we saw JRP's best game as a quarterback in a UCF uniform?
So best is tough, right? Because he's had some really good statistical games, right? Last year against Temple, we put up 70 points, right? I mean, he threw for 1 million yards, ran for 1 million more yards. And so statistically speaking, it's not an eye-popping game, but he controlled the line of scrimmage when he had to. He made plays when he had to. He got first downs with his legs, which is something we hadn't seen him do in a couple of weeks based on the knee injury. And so you love what you see out of that. I think that is the best game he's played. It may not be his best statistical performance, but in terms of production and outcome, I do think this or Tulane regular season last year are probably the best 2 games. I'll be recency bias guy, and I will go with this one right now.
How about RJ Harvey? 20 plus carries, 200 plus yards, 1,000 plus on the season. Feed him the ball in Lubbock.
Yeah, I joked on the podcast this week, when are we building the RJ Harvey statue? And I talked to you and Elo on Around the Kingdom this week. Is RJ Harvey the best big game running back we've had since Kevin Smith? You think about all the games that we've needed big performances last year, Cincinnati, this year, Cincinnati. RJ Harvey seems to answer the bell every single time. His stats may not be as eye-popping as other guys. He obviously doesn't have the yardage that 24K had, but he may be the best big game running back we've had. And you got to hand it to the kid, right? Because all week long, and we're guilty of this too, Trace, all week long, what do we talk about? Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon this, Ollie Gordon that, Ollie Gordon this. And lo and behold, RJ Harvey was the guy who rushed for 200 yards. You got to really love a kid who can take that challenge, go out there, and his entire team seem inspired by that challenge. Again, you'd love to see that inspiration, that motivation carry forward this week to Texas Tech.
Well, let's talk more about this night's team on a 2-game winning streak with former UCF wide receiver Tyson Hinshaw back in Sons of UCF Live. Tyson, hello.
Hey, guys. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about this performance? I mean, this was from start to finish a complete game. They finished this game.
Yeah, no doubt. In fact, that's one of the first things we talked about. I had my son with me at the game, or actually both of them with me at the game. We talked about how great it was to see the fourth quarter and how we finished that game. I actually texted with Mark Daniels late in that game. I said, we got to just continue to finish, and he agreed. And it was really nice to see that we just kept the pedal down, but on both sides, by the way, offense and defense, which was awesome.
And I imagine your brother, offensive coordinator Darren Hinshaw, pretty pleased with John Rice Plumlee and the team in this one.
Yeah, I think he was excited about everybody. I think it was our first team win across the board. I think both sides of the ball contributed at a high level. Special teams did great. So, yeah, he was excited. Obviously, it felt really good to have that complete game. I think we've been close, and unfortunately, some of these games, they're won and lost by a few plays here and there, and it's nice to have a cushion like we had, and then just complete and finish the game. So, yeah, he was definitely excited about how the kids performed.
Tyson, obviously, we've had a bunch of close games all year long, and whatever reason you stub your toe, things happen. As a player, what happens? What's the mindset that you get a game like this? Is there a switch? Is there something is said? How do we get from a performance where it's uneven to something like this where it just feels like we can do no wrong?
Yeah, sometimes just the ball bounces your way and the mojo's working, and there's no doubt that the kids were jacked up about the game. I think the space game in general, right? And remember, we're dealing with kids that are 18 to 21-year-old, 22. I remember I was that age. And sometimes there's those little things that really gets you dialed in and focused. And who knows, maybe that's a part of it. But there's no doubt they were ready to play and like I said, finish more than anything. I think we've seen in some of these games where we've come out, shot out of a cannon. Sometimes we've seen us come out a little slower. This game we were shot out of a cannon and then finished and just continued that pressure on them, which is important because you don't want to let somebody give them a chance to feel like they can win. I think the weather was a good thing. We got some points up and the bad weather came, which was actually kind of crazy, I thought, but it worked out for us for sure. And I thought our kids performed well in the weather as well.
Tyson, how do you explain 5 weeks ago we gave up 399 yards on the ground to Kansas, and then against Oklahoma State with one of the best running backs in the nation, we give up only 52? How do you explain something like that?
I don't know that I can explain it. I think
You're like everybody else.
the reality is, I'm sure that defense heard all week of how great this guy is and how good they can run the ball. And, again, you're dealing with kids and they hear that all the time. I'm sure they want to go out there and prove themselves. I think they were on a mission, it looked like, to stop the run. And then they did just that. So I don't know if there's any one thing. I think we're also getting a couple people back healthy on defense, which helps, especially in the front. And there's no doubt that they showed up ready to play, and it was an impressive performance. And he never got going. I mean, not only did he not, get close to going, he never had, I think, even had one real good run. And the game got out of hand, and then they needed to throw the ball, so he couldn't really get into it. So for the type of game that individual or that player wants to play in, it was like the exact opposite, right? We get up big, the rain comes, and now they're way behind, and it's hard. It would be hard for somebody like that, for them to get him going, because you got to get him going early to really to have a big game like he normally has, and he just never really got going.
Before you joined us, we were talking about RJ Harvey and that talk this week that he may be the best since Kevin Smith. Where are you at on that? There have been a lot of good running backs that have made their way, through the years for the Knights. Where do you think he steps up?
To me, he's a complete back. He's explosive, but he's also can grind out yards. He's obviously extremely talented. He played quarterback, I believe, in high school. Clearly, the line wants to block for him. They like blocking for him. So, is he better than Kevin Smith or whoever else? I don't know. I can tell you, I'm glad he's on our team. He's a complete back, and we've got great backs. We've got great skilled kids. So it was fun to see him break the long one. Two things: one, and get a block by, I think it was Baker that was blocked for him. May have been Kobe, but whoever that was who accelerated to get in front of the defender, number one, and do really smart by turning his body and not get a penalty. And also just the effort, when you see that from your teammate, it was pretty awesome. And to see RJ continue to accelerate and really, I don't know that he needed that block. I think the kid wasn't gonna catch him, but those type of little things, I know probably to the average fan doesn't seem like a big deal. That's a big deal to me. I thought that was awesome to see him run ahead and make that block, even though he maybe didn't need it, and a smart block in that. But RJ, seeing him finish that run was pretty awesome. It was fun. I also loved how he hugged on. I think there were like 4 kids that were in astronaut outfits in one of the suite sections there. It was pretty cool.
Well, you can't talk about RJ Harvey without talking about the offensive line. And again, another change, Lokai Pauli at center. No matter who they've changed out, things have seemed to work over the course of the season on the O-line.
Yeah, I stopped keeping track. So, whoever's out there, I know the coaches have done their job, and it's given us our best chance to win. The good news is we've got a lot of them, which is good, right? We've got probably 10 people there that can play. So depth is always good. I think ideally you'd want 5 or 6 that are playing most of the game. But I think their Coach Hand does an awesome job He's a great guy, and I know he works really hard. So, getting those guys ready, no doubt, I think it's pretty awesome to see him go out there and I guess this is what his 5th game with 100 yards. So, but we got to keep the volume down because we don't want them talking about how great our running back is, just like last week, right? So, we just need to go out and perform and hope to get a big one. Probably one of the biggest games here against Texas Tech.
Tyson, obviously you were a great wide receiver in your time at UCF. What do you make of our current wide receiver duo, Javon Baker, Kobe Hudson? How good are these guys? What do you like about their game?
Man, they're explosive, incredibly quick, can catch the deep ball. I think their hands are great. There's not a lot of negatives really with them, quite frankly. I think they're 2 incredible receivers. I think Townsend's really a great player as well. We've got some good receivers. We've always had good receivers at UCF, so it's nice to see that continue here. And I love seeing us throw the ball down the field. I think getting John Rice back and getting him healthy, where you can tell he's getting his legs under him and he's able to throw the ball a little bit better. It's been exciting to watch those guys play. But look, they're explosive. They're a lot faster than I ever was. That's for sure. But they're fun to watch. The one play Hudson made on the bonus play there when they jumped off sides and he comes back and catches it. I mean, it looked from where I was sitting like the guy could have just grabbed him and somehow he just leaves him. And that speed is elite. And it's fun to watch.
One of my favorite plays of the game. I want to know how you'd react to it. Our kicker, Colton Boomer, gets a personal foul on a late hit out of bounds. When you were playing and you're kicking out, again, Borlegi was a pretty big dude, so maybe that would have laid some wood there. But when the kicker gets a late hit out of bounds penalty, how does the rest of the team typically react to that?
Yeah, I think they were. It would have been nice if it wasn't so bad, but he was kind of like more than a step out of bounds. Look, I think obviously if Colton could take it back, he would have. I'm sure everyone saw Gus ripping into him as anybody would, right? Any coach should yell at him. It wasn't a smart play. It was an effort play, which is good. Just kind of a dumb effort play, right? But clearly everybody likes him, right? And you want to cheer for somebody like Boomer. There's no doubt that he's a great player. He's a great kicker. And he's not afraid to shake it up. And he's obviously intense and wants to make a play for the team. He just got a little excited, I think, on that play. But all in all, I think, I saw – I watched a highlight, I think the next day that there was a cut up of highlights. And somebody put in the comments, is like, where's the hit that Boomer made? But because it was actually a nice hit. It's just too bad it was 2 yards out of bounds.
Well, so you're telling me if he had missed his last 5 field goals, the team would not have been as receptive to that hit?
No, I think, look, it's not about, I think they like the effort. I think they were like, it's when a kid, he's not a big guy. He's small too. He's a Lake Mary Ram too, but he's trying to make a play. He just got a little too excited, I think.
Damari Henderson, the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. We're really seeing these young guys emerge over the course of the season on defense.
Yeah. Another in-town kid from Sanford. My kids played against him. I watched him growing up. He's a heck of a talent. So it's great to see him get involved, and he seems to be at the right place at the right time as well. Some of those interceptions were, he's in the right position, ball gets tip drill, right? And he was able to make those plays, and the fumble was big as well. So he's an incredibly talented kid. If you ever seen him play basketball, he's just as good. I mean, he's pretty explosive, can dunk from almost anywhere. So it was fun watching him grow up, and it's awesome. He's at UCF, and Braden Marshall, another one, got a pick, which was cool to see. Another Lake Mary kid. So no doubt those guys are playing some good ball right now, and hopefully it continues. So we're going to need it.
You're coaching this week. How do you avoid a letdown after such a big win? We saw Oklahoma State beat Oklahoma in Bedlam, and they certainly did not look like that same team a week later in Orlando. Now UCF's got that road trip out to Lubbock. What do you do here as coaches throughout the week to drive home that message?
Yeah, and I don't know if they had a letdown as much as we just jumped on them, and then the situation with the rain and us just keeping the pace down, or keeping the pedal down with the pace. I think we just beat them. I think we outcoached them and all of that. But I think this week you gotta want to start fast. Clearly, when we've been away, you look at Kansas. We started slow in that game. The situation with John Rice there, that wasn't ideal. But most games we've started pretty quick. I think that's important in this game, is to start fast and to keep the pressure on them. But look, they're 17 to 22-year-old kids, and anything can happen. I think the good thing is, I think number one, we're almost bowl eligible, and we need that next win. We need it more than Oklahoma State needed a win, really, right? So I think they're going to be energized. It's a pretty cool place. I've been to Texas Tech. It's an interesting place to play. I think they'll be excited to go there. And weird start time, but I think they'll be ready. And for me, I think it's let's start fast and keep the pressure on them. I think that's going to be real. I think the first quarter is a really important quarter in this game.
Tyson, what's this season been like for you personally? Obviously, your brother now on the staff. I know you're a UCF alum. You bleed black and gold, but has it been different this year? I know your brother was on staff as an analyst a few years back, but now in sort of in a lead role like the offensive coordinator. How has this been different for you and your family?
Yeah, I do. I bleed black and gold. But at the same time, anytime my brother's coached at Kentucky or Tennessee or wherever he's been, we've obviously been tied into those games, and it just means so much to us as a family. So because I'm cheering for him, and I want him to do well in those teams, right? So I'm a fan of his, and so having it at UCF, it's like a double whammy, right? I always cheer for the Knights, and now I've got him. They're intense. Let's just say that. The good news is I'm not coaching, and I can have a couple cocktails and relax my nerves a little bit. But I just want us to play well and play like we can. And I think there's moments this year that we've done it, and it was awesome to see this year for it to happen. And I'll tell you, the losses are horrible. The things that have happened, and the next day, you're not a fan. It's your family that's losing. So it's even double worse than you would think it is. So yeah, I'm feeling every moment, every hit, every big play, every bad play. So it's interesting, for sure, but it's exciting. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Are you at the position, or can you joke with your brother? Like, hey, good call on that 3rd and 2. Like, can you joke with him a little bit after a game?
I may have a couple notes that I want to talk to him. The reality is I have not got to talk to him much this year. He's just been swamped and nonstop. So sometimes on Thursday nights, like tonight, I'll be able to catch him for a little bit. We'll talk, kind of what he's thinking this week and the team, etc., and the mood and all that. But and then I'll talk to him after the game. Is usually probably the best time for me to connect with them. But then come Sunday, don't talk to him much. And during the week, I'm working, I'm helping Lake Mary coach over there. So I'm busy, he's busy, and we don't get to connect as much as I'd like to. I probably should just drive over there and go stand outside his house. I'll get to see him and talk to him. But, he works late, and he's grinding, trying to do the best he can for this team.
All right,
6:45 on Sunday night, the coordinator interviews. You should just show up and join us in the media room.
Yeah,
throw out a question or two. That is surprising.
Good idea.
Tyson, true or false? You called your brother after that Oklahoma 2-point conversion play. True or false?
Well, I called him. We talked anyway, but yes, we did discuss that specific play. We talked a lot about a lot of plays in that game, and it's funny, somebody was like, did you like that 2-point play? I said, I like 2-point plays that work. So whatever we need to call, and any ones that don't work, I don't really like them. Right. So it's not easy. I'll tell you, the 4th down play was an awesome play. Nobody talks about, right. But that play was phenomenal. By the way, John Rice threw a great ball, great catch, it executed perfectly. So, to get us into that moment, the game's never won and lost in one play. I know people feel like it is, but the reality is, you look at that game, there's so many chances we had to win it. But it would have been nice to get into overtime and see what happens, because you never know what would have happened in overtime. But yeah, we had some conversations about it. So
before you have too many cocktails on Saturday, make sure you figure out where FS2 is on your dial. Okay.
I do need to do that. I think I got DirecTV, so hopefully it's on there.
618. I looked it up.
618.
618. Yeah, that's where it is.
Trust me,
Tyson
I'll
Hinshaw.
have it loaded. That's for sure.
Yeah, I have that on there. All right, Tyson Hinshaw, we appreciate you stopping by with us. Let's get a win in Lubbock.
Yeah, thank you guys for all you do. You guys do a great job, and appreciate all the support. And let's go over there and bring back they need to make sure there's room somewhere on that plane for that W to bring it back. So I'm excited about it. Go Knights.
That's right. All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
All right.
I like your question about the 2-point.
I just wonder, like, if you can joke with them. Like, I don't know, Darren. Obviously, can you call him and be like, dude, what was that like? What kind of person? It's a very serious sport. I just wondered what their relationship was like. I've texted with Tyson a little bit. He seems like a pretty fun-loving guy. Fun fact: I actually learned his middle name is actually Love. By the way, his name is Tyson Love Hinshaw. So fun fact, I don't know why I know that. I should have asked him what Darren's middle name is, but I just wondered what their relationship is like. That's all.
Well, that is interesting. Save that for Mike when his top 5 Valentine's Day list or something like that.
I don't even. Yeah. Who? Yeah.
Oklahoma State, a little bit of a setback on their road to Arlington. They've got some work to do. They end, of course, with Houston and BYU. Let's turn over to Jeff Allen now for our look at the Big 12.
UCF and Texas Tech pulling upsets last week added some intrigue to the conference championship game race. However, the 23rd ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys, despite being routed by the Knights, hold the number 2 slot with a 5-2 mark, while 7th ranked Texas still holds the top slot at 6-1. Texas draws 5-2 Iowa State this week. That will be a Saturday night kick at 8 on Fox. Oklahoma State will square off with Houston. That will be on ESPN2 at 4 o'clock. 14th ranked Oklahoma at 5-2 visits BYU. Catch that one at 12 noon on ESPN. With that game in Provo, it's a 10 a.m. start Mountain Time. The remaining 5-2 team in the mix, 21st ranked Kansas State faces in-state rival Kansas, who's ranked number 25. That'll be 7 o'clock on FS1. The rest of the slate has Cincinnati at West Virginia, 2:30 on ESPN+. TCU is at Baylor, 3:30 on ESPN+. And rounding out the schedule, UCF travels to Lubbock to take on Texas Tech with the odd 5 o'clock start time on FS2. Both teams could face potential letdowns after their upset wins last week. I think the Knights keep their momentum en route to a 3rd straight win and bowl eligibility. With your Big 12 Minute, I'm Jeff Allen.
All right.
UCF and Texas.
Sorry, Jeff is back. Trace, he's back on our side. Not literally back, because he literally came back, but he's literally back on our side.
What do you think about a 10 a.m. start?
Not a fan. not a fan.
That is way early.
Not gonna lie to you, not a fan of that.
That is way early. Men's basketball on a 14-0 run in the last 5.5 minutes. Let's go back to the arena. Let's see what's going on. Let's turn to our man on the scene, Andrew Cherico. Andrew, what's going on?
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you great this time around.
All right, that's great to hear. All right, so UCF is currently leading 46-26 on a 14-0 run. Speaking about Martellus Avery's impact, he came in the game and finished an alley-oop and hit another 3 the next play right after. So Coach Johnny Dawkins you can see the reason he was upset that he was not playing, because he has made a great impact in this game already. Jalen Sellers continues to be the leading scorer with 13 points. Ibrahima Diallo with 7 rebounds, and Jalen Sellers being the leading assist with 4 assists. CSF just got the ball right now off of a miss. Their crossover, and it's a foul. Foul.
Andrew's not doing play-by-play during Sons of UCF Live.
All right, thank you all for having me.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate you. He just launches into play-by-play. Are we in any violation of anything? No, we're all right.
He's actually ahead of my TV, so he actually ruined it for me, but that's fine. I still love Andrew.
Andrew will be in the post game with Coach Dawkins and players, and no doubt putting together a report that we will drop.
And make sure you guys follow Andrew on Twitter at Andrew_Cherico. Doing some great work for us, obviously getting the press availabilities. A young kid at UCF just trying to learn in the business. So it's good to have Andrew on board. Trace, I know you spent time with him too, but make sure you guys all follow Andrew on social medias and look out for more reports on basketball all season long.
Yeah, he's solid with social media and the updates during basketball. He made the media availability yesterday, put together a report in advance of this Cal State Fullerton game. And so he's coming along, and now he's got his first live shots under his belt. Men's basketball, now with a 20-point lead, it's a Thursday night. They are in the Jacksonville Classic. By the way, it's called the Jacksonville Classic. They're playing at the Flagler Gymnasium in St. Augustine for these games. Sunday, South Dakota State, 8 o'clock start. And then Monday they'll play either Charlotte or George Mason. So quick turn on this, and going to test their depth as well.
Yeah, I may swing out there and catch a game, Trace. But obviously, right now they're playing really well. I mean, you see why Marcellus Avery was a guy that Johnny liked. Obviously, Andrew mentioned that already. Jalen Sellers playing well. They got to get some more outside shooting. Maybe that's Marcellus Avery. Again, we had Ben Hazel tell us that he thought Marcellus was an outside threat. But you can tell for a period of time there, you've got three guys in Langford, Allen, and Sellers who are all slashers, want to get to the hoop, want to draw contact, not great shooters. So at some point, we're going to need to find some shooting on the perimeter. UCF hasn't done that. Marchowski has done a little bit of that in his time off the bench, but I want to see how our shooting develops. But I do like our inside presence. Omar Payne's playing well. Ibrahima Diallo has a couple of blocks. He's a big force down low, and obviously you add in Avery plus Serno. This could be a formidable team. I hate to get too ahead of myself and too excited about it as Shamari Allen just airball the three, but this might be a fun team to watch. They may not win a lot of games. They may not upset anybody, but if it's fun and competitive, I think it'll make for a good season.
Jalen Sellers has been a nice addition to the team. Got to see Shamari Allen get going. And remember, we get Antoine Jones back on this roster at the end of the first semester. So I just got to weather the storm for a couple of more weeks before they see him. All we're hearing from Coach Dawkins is that CJ Walker continues to heal. Uncertain timetable. Maybe you see him when conference play gets underway, but that's still up in the air.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, you feel for CJ just as a person. We know what he's been through injury-wise, and you can see how his energy could help a team like this. This feels like a team that CJ Walker would excel in, right? A little bit of a run-and-gun, fast break style. He could certainly get a ball off the glass and bring it up the court and find somebody, lobs from DJ. So this feels like a team that he may fit in really well with. I think previous iterations of the UCF basketball team were a lot of outside shots, a lot of three-point shots, Darius Perry, Brendan Mahan. This feels like more of a team that can spread the ball a little bit more in the style of what you would get out of CJ. So hopefully he can get back soon and he can enjoy some time. Probably his last year, I think. He's been around for a while. Probably his last year here at UCF.
All right, let's switch gears, go back to football. Let's talk about this 5-5 Texas Tech Red Raider team with Albie Shore. He is part of the 10-12 Network, the Tortillas and Takes podcast. Albie, welcome in. First timer here at Sons of UCF Live.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me here. I'm excited to be here. Actually, this takes place of our podcast for the week because Jeremy has left me alone, my co-host at Tortillas and Takes, to go be a good American and actually watch the U.S. men's national soccer team. Basically, he's a communist and a socialist watching soccer instead of American football. That's how that works there. This is.
He's not here to defend himself, but it doesn't seem to matter.
Fine with me.
We've labeled him. Welcome into Suns Live. This is the Red Raider week. This is a big one for UCF. These two teams 5-5, but I got to tell you, go back to the early part of the season. A lot of people had Texas Tech a little bit higher than where they are. What has been the story of this season? Injuries, obviously a factor at quarterback.
Let me tell you something, guys. Injuries is not new for us. We have something when it comes to our quarterbacks. I think for people that don't know anything about Texas Tech football, you may not know that us getting to our third string quarterback is a common occurrence.
You just plan on it every season.
That's just how it works. Our last quarterback that made it through the entire year was Nick Shimonek in 2017.
That's a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So that's the last time we've had a starting quarterback. And I call it the Nick Shimanek curse because we did not appreciate Nick Shimanek. Nick Shimanek was a quarterback that came in right after Pat Mahomes. He was an okay guy. He wasn't bad. He was decent, but he wasn't Pat Mahomes. So what happened is that Tech fan base, we didn't like him. We didn't like him very much. So what happened, he actually even got benched for the last game against Texas, and the guy behind him was much worse. And so he ended up getting his job back and beating Texas that game. But I believe that he put a curse on the Texas Tech quarterback situation because since then, we've been down to our third string quarterback every single year since. And again, it happened this year. We had to put in Jake Strong, who was our third string this year, and he went to a tune of 7 turnovers in 2 games. Really, Nate Petermaning it the entire time, which yay. If you're gonna go out with a bang. So I like it. But yeah, so that's part of it, right? Injuries, of course, not just at the quarterback position, but we've been dealing with injuries on the O-line, injuries in the defense, on the secondary, as well as on the linebacking side. So especially on the linebacking, I would argue that the linebacking injuries has been the biggest. That's been the unit that's been hit the most, with both of our starters out for an extended period of time at the linebacking position. We've even been able to had to start a true freshman, Ben Roberts, for the majority of the season now because of the injuries, and he stepped up in a big way that nobody's expecting him to. But that's part of it. But honestly, I don't think that's the biggest reason. I think that there is also coaching. There's been some coaching issues, especially when it comes to offensive play calling. There's been a couple games where I distinctly point to the play calling as the reason why we didn't win those games. Wyoming, honestly, there's no reason why that we shouldn't have beaten Wyoming. And I think offensive play calling was a big piece of that. Play calling down the stretch against Oregon, another big piece of that. So that's also, and then the third part of it is that we weren't as good as we thought. Like that's straight up.
And
like,
then there's that.
There's that. Like just straight
you got
up.
the win at Kansas. That was a pretty big win last
It
week.
wasn't okay. First off, okay, you're right. You are right. But a win it just doesn't feel good to say that a win at Kansas was a huge win. Like it just still feels.
Well, it could be worse. You could have lost to Kansas and given up 400 rushing yards.
Fair.
Who would have done that? That's so there's that also. Like we just weren't as good as we thought. A friend of mine, he actually brought up a really good point. Last year we were 8-5, but a lot of those close games that Texas Tech fans are very so used to losing, we won last year. Last year there was a lot of games, a lot of 50-50 games we ended up winning, and those same games this year we're just losing. We're just not doing those 50-50 games. We're now on the opposite end of it. So we're basically the same team we were last year. We're just not getting those benefits that we got last year. So that's a big piece of it. And I'm never taking down this pennant. This staying. All right. I even got the Texans shirt for any Buccaneers fans out there. So sorry about you. But yeah, coming guns blazing. No pun intended.
But we do a lot of work around here at the Suns, and we try to predict what's going to happen in the season. I want you to hear this prediction, and I want you to give me your analysis on this take right here. Listen to this.
This is a definite loss at Texas Tech. A meltdown in Lubbock. That one to me is a given.
So what?
I've heard about this all year long.
As that gentleman there, he said this was going to be a definite loss for UCF, a meltdown for UCF. Your opinion on Trace's take that this is a definite loss for UCF on Saturday?
When did you have this take? I mean,
that was like
preseason,
like August.
Preseason. Interesting. So,
I should buy it on this week's show, though. I can't really back off of it now.
So I ain't gonna lie to you. A week ago, I'd agree with you. A week ago, we were making fun of this game. Like, okay, Kansas gonna be tough. Texas gonna be tough. I'm gonna skip over UCF. That'll be a nice one. Then y'all beat the hell out of Oklahoma State, and that got me a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Ollie Gordon, 25 yards.
Yeah, y'all beat Oklahoma State, something serious. And now I'm like, hold on. Maybe because here's the thing. I was actually really high on UCF at the beginning of the season. Out of the freshman 4, I said, okay, those 3 teams are going to stink. But UCF is the team that I actually think is going to be pretty good. I think overall, y'all actually ended last season, your last year in the AAC, better than the other two teams at Houston and Cincinnati. I thought y'all came in. You were the only group that wasn't, rebuilding or reloading or having a new coach, anything like that. You kind of were bringing everybody back. I actually thought you were going to come into the season as the only team that didn't have, just didn't have any problems. Like, I thought it was going to be a seamless transition. It hasn't been. But so I was a little worried about UCF, and then not only that, but I actually think, and we talked about it on Tortillas and Takes quite a few times, the new Big 12, and as we move into the new Big 12, who's going to take the reins on that? And it's been, especially, and a lot of times you look at the recruiting, and that usually tells you more than anything. And starting off, it was Texas Tech versus TCU, and then lo and behold, some weird team out of Florida just crept up to the top of the rankings, fighting with Tech and UCF for the number one spot, and it was y'all. So I said not just next year, but I thought that y'all were going to be a piece to be working with going forward. So at the beginning of the season, I actually did not have this as an auto dub. Then I saw y'all play for a few games, and I was like, yeah, we got this. So now, after last week's game, it's still not a wild take. And we'll talk about it a little bit later, I still think it's a favorable matchup for us. I still think at home we're usually better, and so that does help. After seeing y'all last week, I'm not willing to say it's an auto W for us, though. Like, if that team shows up again, that team right there that showed up last Saturday against Oklahoma State. I ain't seen y'all do that all year. Like, I don't know where that team came from. So
we don't know either.
Yeah, we don't know either. Well, what scares you about this UCF team when you think about it, Albie? When you saw what you saw on Saturday, what scares you about the potential of this UCF team?
So your defense doesn't scare me. Last week,
no, it shouldn't, by the way.
Yeah. Your defense didn't scare me until last week, but holding Ollie Gordon, I think was a really big thing. I mean, Taj Brooks, that's our star. That's the best player on the team, right? And so that's our star, and we're going to, if our offensive coordinator realizes what he does right and what he does wrong, which is run the ball and don't pass it as much, then we should be running the ball regardless of who we're playing, right? And so, we should run the ball. And so the fact that y'all were able to stop Ollie Gordon the way that you were able to does worry me a little bit. Now, Taj Brooks is a different type of running back than Ollie Gordon is, so I do think we're going to have a little bit more success in that aspect. But what kind of worries me a little bit more when it comes to UCF is you have a decent run game, and then also you have a mobile quarterback. And regardless of how John Reese Plumlee's played this year, mobile quarterback, the history of Texas Tech defenses, obviously we've been bad in our history. Mobile quarterbacks is like, put how bad we've been and multiply it by 3. Like, mobile quarterbacks come in, RG3 comes in, anybody that can run or do anything just absolutely destroys us. And then if you think, hey, no, this guy's slow, he'll be fine against Texas Tech. No, all he has to do is scramble a little bit and he usually destroys us. And this year's no different. Anybody who watched the K-State game can see that. Props to Chris Kleiman for saying, listen, Will Howard, you're actually decent athletically, but we have this true freshman that will burn every single player on that Tech defense. And it worked. That's how they beat us. And so John Reese Plumlee is a better version of Avery Johnson, at least as a passer, in my opinion. And so that is what scares me more than anything. The combination of the 1-2 man, the read option game. I think y'all can as improved as our defense has been, I think y'all can really march down the field using that read option game all game long.
You mentioned Taj Brooks is a different type of running back from Ollie Gordon. Describe him. What does he do well?
He is very patient, which is, in my opinion, the best attribute a between the tackles running back can have. He's very patient. He will sit back there, have a picnic, take your girl out on a date, bring her back home before you're ready, and before 10 o'clock, before the streetlights come home. You're wondering where your girl been at all day. She's been out with Taj Brooks, and then he hits the hole. Right, he's extremely patient, and so because of that, he allows his blockers to set up in front of him. The blockers are there, and then he hits it. And once he hits it, he's gone. And that's how he's been able to get it. And then not only that, it's really hard to take him down. Dude got tree trunks for legs, and so it's just really that because of that piece of it, it's not necessarily like a bowling ball type, like Kansas last week, where he was using Daniel Highshaw to be that bowling ball and just knock around. Taj Brooks is just very patient, and then when he hits it, he has a great burst, and he can get those extra yards that you want to expect him to get.
Tech won a 16-13 game at Kansas. If they are to win this game, could it be that low scoring? You'd think this would be a higher scoring game between these two.
I would hope so. That game sucked. That game was not fun. So I would imagine. So and there is some credence at least to Tech being at home, right? Like we are throughout Joey McGuire's tenure, we have been a much better team. It's one of the reasons why I didn't expect us to win last week, is because we've been awful on the road. That is actually our only our second, or it's our third road win in the Joey McGuire tenure. First one being last year at Iowa State. This year at Baylor, which everybody won at Baylor. That's nothing impressive. And then,
not us,
except for you. No, you lost at home. All right, it wasn't when.
It's even worse. It's even worse.
Hold on, time out. If I could excuse the question that you asked me for a second, how did that game happen? Yeah. Y'all talk to me. How did that happen? I left. It was the third quarter. I was like, well, this game's over.
35-7.
So did the defense. Yeah, so did our team. They left with you. Yeah.
I didn't even watch the end of the game. Like, I was watching, I think Tech played right after that. And I was like, all right, well, Baylor lost again because they stink. And then there was like a recap in the first quarter of the game I'm watching. And then I'm like, wait, hold on. Yeah. So that's actually when I realized y'all stink, to be honest.
That's fair. Same.
That's what you need when you lose the stink. That just trails you. That's how that works. Yeah. Sorry. Anyways, back to what I was saying. I hope it's not as low scoring as that. I don't think it will be as low scoring as that. We are at home. I expect us to put up a little bit more points there. And like I said, your defense isn't great, but your defense isn't great. Though I do think a part of me does feel like y'all are getting it together. Now, I don't know if it's just a flash in the pan because of last week, and maybe I'm just you put everything into the Space U week. I'm not sure, but the defense does seem like it's getting a little bit together, so it could be a little, some pushback there. But I expect it to be a little, won't be as terrible of a game as 16-13.
I'll be UCF fans going to Lubbock and they want to get weird. What should they do? Where should they go?
First of all, they're weird already. If they're going to, I'm not going to slander Lubbock too much, but Lubbock's going to be a great time. Like, everybody makes fun of Lubbock because it's that town out in the middle of nowhere and this, that, and the other. But once you arrive in Lubbock, you're guaranteed to have a fantastic time. Right, like you're guaranteed once you get in there, if you go in that same day, you'll be able to hit Chimmy's, which Chimmy's is a very popular bar right across from campus. Delicious tacos, delicious food, delicious. Whether you want to get I always get tacos. I don't know why else you wouldn't get if you're going to be in West Texas. You don't get some tacos. But delicious tacos, delicious nachos, 2 margaritas. You're going to be done for just 2. No, if you get a third, you will not make it to the game. Get 2. 2. Really, honestly. If you really want to have a good time at the game, you should only drink 1, if I'm being honest. But 2 is going to get you nice and right. Nice and right. You won't stumble out of the bar, but you're going to be feeling it after 2. A third one is just a recipe for disaster. Don't do it. But you do have Chimmy's right there. Right on Broadway is a lot of actually really good bars and really a lot of fun time right there. Fuzzy's down the street, even better tacos, so especially soft tacos. As you go down there, if you want to spend a night in Lubbock, you got to hit Depot District. A lot of fun around, and then of course there's great restaurants, right? Great restaurants. Spanky's has great burgers. The He-Man Woman Hater is my favorite in Spanky's, which is just just really like stacked burger with a bunch of nice cheese and ooey goodness on there. There's also Blue Sky, which is not as stacked, but just really great meat. That Blue Sky burger. Got to get some steakhouses in South Lubbock. South Lubbock's where all the bougie people live, but of course they have great steakhouses down in South Lubbock as well. And then I'm gonna do a plug a little bit because people don't know about this hidden gem, Lone Wolf Tacos. It's like little tiny tacos that you're gonna eat at 3:00 in the morning they're actually, last time I was there, they were 79 cents inflation. So I'm sure there's a little over $1 now, but still delicious tacos. Well, they're delicious when you're there at 3:00 in the morning. Don't go at any other time. Why would you? But yeah, so there's a lot of great things, but you're guaranteed to have a great time. People are nice as hell. Regardless, as long as you're honestly, even if you are a Longhorn, people are still nice. They're just gonna talk crap about you. But yeah, no, it's just an incredible place. But stay there for a weekend. No poker rooms in Lubbock, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not. The state of Texas is a weird thing when it comes to gambling overall. But yeah, it's gonna be a great time, no question.
Tell us about your show.
Tortillas and Takes. Yeah, no, it's a podcast, all things Texas Tech. Right now, of course, we're in football season. We're transitioning over to basketball season. The second game 12 is over. We've already had our basketball preview. And it's me and Jeremy Gillen, my co-host. We usually we talk mess about everything, right? What's going on in Texas Tech, what's going on in the Big 12. If something funky happens in college football or college athletics in general, like NCAA being stupid about James Madison, we're going to talk about it, right? Usually I make fun of Jeremy. That's just
Did we lose him, Adam?
He's right there. We didn't lose him, but I can't hear him.
Albie, we've lost your audio.
He's still talking though.
All right, Albie.
This goes on for. I don't know. No, we can't hear you, buddy.
We've lost your audio.
Is this a universal sign for we can't hear you? Is this it, Trace? Is that, I don't know what it is. Is this it? Is this,
universal
that's
sign.
the one? Okay. You're smiling at us, though.
You can probably hear us.
Oh, we got you now. Yeah, you're back. No? Can you hear us? It's kind of awkward.
All right. We will bid him
I heard
adieu.
something there. All right, Albert. We'll see you later, buddy.
All right. Albie Shore, Tortillas
Adios.
and Takes podcast, part of the 10-12 network. We appreciate you being with us to talk a little Texas Tech football.
Oh.
All right. Let's go to some news and notes. Adam?
Yeah, let me get this. I mean, look, I wasn't expecting that this mountain set to be that quick, Trace. So you want to do this. Hold on, I got you. I'm with you.
My name's David Gibbs. I'm the assistant DB coach, and let's go around the kingdom.
Former Texas Tech D coordinator David Gibbs, by the way.
That's a good selection right there. Volleyball has dropped 5 straight. They now face a 5th-ranked Texas 2:00 senior night on Saturday. Nights stand at 8-7 in the Big 12, 17-9 overall. Wednesday they are at Iowa State. They really need to hit that 20-win mark. They got 3 matches left. Not looking good for volleyball. 12th-ranked men's soccer, the 12th seed in the NCAA tournament, hosting the winner of Vermont Rider, 6:00 Sunday at the UCF Soccer Complex. Knights looking to make some headway in the NCAA tournament. Women's basketball now 2-0. They beat Anderson 96-73. A little step up in competition from Division II Anderson. They will welcome in Auburn Monday at 7:00. You're being very liberal with these clips of me talking about Texas Tech. We had a little fun with that this week on another episode of Around the Kingdom with Eric Lopez. It's going to go one way or the other, Elo. I'm right and have been right since the beginning, or I'm going to have to hear about it. When do they play again in this new scheduling matrix 2026? Am I have to hear about it for a while?
Texas Tech, by the way, coming off an upset win at Kansas with a low-scoring game. I'm going to go opposite of you. I think UCF has a great chance. I think they win. I guarantee it, Trace. I'm going to go opposite of you.
How much are you willing to wager?
I'll buy dinner. Let's bet dinner on this game.
Don't you owe me dinner for something anyway?
I don't recall.
Yeah.
Does he owe you dinner? I
think he does. I think he does owe me dinner for something.
Okay. Well, I mean, you should cash that out.
We do a pick'em in men's basketball games, which is a long story. We haven't started that yet. We're going to start with conference play. All right. The human highlighter is up next.
It's that time again. Time to open the Brian W. Peterson Sons of UCF mailbag.
He glowed in the dark with this powder blue. So he had the hat.
Did you try to go glued in the dark there? Is that what you tried to do? Okay. Okay. Speaking of that, we actually have a submission, a video, kind of a walk and talk, a unique question. I did not share this with you in advance. A unique question for you.
Bring it on.
I'll put it on screen for you now.
What does this say here? Did you say listener gave this? Oh, I missed the question. I was looking at
is this an acceptable vehicle to rent for a college football road trip? I can't reveal who sent. It's an anonymous source, Trace. I need to know if that's acceptable for a college football road trip.
Point A to point B in a town. It's fine.
What kind of gas mileage you get on that thing?
It goes 0 to 60 in 6 minutes.
I can see why.
All right, we got a lot of questions in this mailbag. At UCF Lee, are we back? I like the swagger on Saturday over Oklahoma State. I like that kind of night's team, a little confident.
Yeah, I think maybe we're back. I mean, if we can, bottle this up and bring it to Lubbock with us, I think maybe we're back. Just maybe.
And I am Rob 6719 with the JRP sack, loses the ball near the UCF 20. Anyone saying, oh no, here comes Baylor, where the Suns confident in that 24th lead?
No.
It goes 24-10. Decidedly not confident. So that was a big series of plays right there.
I told the story in the podcast. My son tried to move seats in the middle of the game from one couch to the next. I grounded him and broke his leg and had him sit where he was, Trace. You're all welcome out there. I took one for the team. My kid's okay, by the way, but I was very nervous.
At JPEG 22, asking, since you and Mike were not at the game in person, is there a jinx here if you ever go to another game?
It's
are
possible.
You allowed to go?
It's possible. Dolly in the same boat. Dolly texted me in the same boat. He did not go as well. I think even if this jinx is real, it ends at the end of the year. So all I'm missing is Houston, which, what are you going to do?
At Eric 8951, will UCF Mike truly accept this as a real Big 12 win? I think he did right on the pod this week.
He did. He's all in. Yeah, he's all in.
Yeah.
Yep.
At Scott 88513, where do you think this ranks among biggest home wins in program history? Top 10 for sure. Then you start to get interesting about, is it as exciting as the Black Friday win or that Memphis championship game? No, but it's certainly a quality win from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, we've won, 3 championships on that field before, right? The Black Friday game. So it's probably somewhere in that 4 to 7 range when you think about it. But a lot of it will depend on how the year finishes out. If we blow these last 2 games, no one's going to care. If we springboard to a end of a good season, then it'll be different.
At Riley Carey 16, do you think the refs are finally on our side? Never.
No.
Never. We'll see what they're like in Lubbock. At Ethan of 126, is Space Game JRP the greatest UCF quarterback of all time? Now, UCF performs well on the Space Game, and he certainly had a good one.
I'll say yes.
At Golden Knight _the second, what was most surprising? UCF utterly dominating Oklahoma State or Boomer getting an unnecessary roughness penalty. That play gets lost in the mix. That's a
Look, if we're down by 10 at that point, Colton Boomer is walking home after the game. That's not far, by the way. But he's lucky we were up by a fair amount, or else that would have been a lot harsher of a punishment, I think.
Yeah, Cat Beach one saying, how much do you think Boomer enjoyed that? I don't think he enjoyed getting chewed out about it, but maybe enjoyed
I think he's okay with it.
The hit itself. Andy at UCF XOS, will Jim Levitt be joining the UCF staff? How about him at the game and enjoying himself and calling out the cows?
I could not root for a former Cows coach to be on our team. I mean, Timmy McClain was one thing. Especially Levitt with everything he's done, I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Our buddy Nelson, by the way, shout out to Nelson, now has a cell phone. And
is that
texted
right?
Me. He has a cell phone, not even a flip phone.
Is it an iPhone, though? Because he can only message me on his iPad.
I don't know if it's an iPhone.
Okay,
he texted me a question.
Well, you don't have an iPhone, by the way. Fun fact, Trace Trelko, the green text box from Trace Trelko, the dreaded green text box. I'm in 9 text threads with Trace, and they're all individual because this guy won't get an iPhone.
Yeah, I'm not.
I know you're not. Yeah, we've had this conversation. Yeah.
Nelson going, with us being undefeated in space games, do you think we should start to schedule them early during the non-conference games so that they can generate some early season buzz and protect the record? I do think that is interesting. I don't think they'll do it. Mike broke down the schedule, seems some missed opportunities on the schedule and what was family weekend and such. But I do like that idea. But you imagine it be against a cupcake opponent if they were going to.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we did the space game basically on Veterans Day weekend, and we had Military Appreciation Day in like October. We probably could have done some better stuff with the schedule this year.
Jason at NightFan94, Mr. Citronaut, asking me in all my years covering UCF sports, a favorite moment that I have, not talking about a game result. I will say, in light of obviously the tragic circumstances, having had the conversations I did with Otis Anderson means a lot more to me now than I realized in the moment. I'll tell you a moment on a road trip staying at the team hotel when UCF played at Virginia Tech. Can't now remember the name of the player. It was a walk-on, and his family thanked me for coming up to watch their son run out the tunnel for that game. And that was a different era of college football, right? And it meant a lot to them. And it is nice to talk to parents at these games that are there to cheer on their kids, despite NIL and all the other things that go on. These kids are still taking classes and their parents are traveling all over, and you'll see them this weekend in Lubbock as well, rooting on their kids. So those are a couple of standout memories for me. Brian W. Peterson asking the question, will Trace be more upset if UCF or Texas Tech loses this week? Ah, come on, stop with that. Stop with that. Just because I don't think UCF is going to win doesn't mean I am rooting for them to lose. That Black Gold _ Ed, you with the pullout of David Gibbs, you think a little revenge? Gibbs was D coordinator 2015 to 2018 at Texas Tech, and then got fired by the Red Raiders. A little revenge?
I mean, if we need David Gibbs to give us some motivation for this game, we got a lot of problems.
At M _ M and UCF. Serious question now that our defensive coordinator, Addison Williams, has a win under his belt against a top team. Can we can him? See, that's cold. Cold.
Not nice. No. As long as it's not Jim Levitt we hire, I'm fine with that. Nova T with a question. Ernie Sims is on staff. Yes, you are correct. Jim Levitt, whole different animal, though. Whole different animal, the things this Levitt did.
UCF fan 642. Do Gus or Terry threaten Addison's future with UCF prior to Saturday's game?
Speaking of Ernie, you saw in that Nightflix, though, Ernie Sims delivered a speech to the defensive team. I was scared. I went and hid under my couch. Like, I was so nervous hearing Ernie Sims get those guys fired up. Addison seemed very mild-mannered. Hopefully this is the good mojo he needs to kick off a good end to the season.
At Scott M. Star, when Lee Hunter stared you down in the presser, how nervous did you get?
Great question.
I wasn't nervous. I wasn't nervous about Lee Hunter.
I was nervous for you.
Doing anything. I don't know if it wasn't really a very good question, and I get a little too investigative reportery, and he didn't like it. But I do think it's funny. You guys love too many softball questions. You ask something. Oh, why are you asking that? You can't win.
Whose voice is that?
At 3 nights 7. Why do you think we don't see much rotation of the running backs and wide receivers? McDonald has had a carry in a while. We have a deep wide receiver group. I think the best players play. Right?
Yeah, I think you shorten your rotation towards the end of the season. Maybe there's some red shirt options coming up here. I don't know what Jordan McDonald's status would be. I think he redshirted last year. I don't know what DeMarcus Bowman's status is. Again, maybe
he was concussed. We haven't asked about him in a while. We really need to ask.
Yeah, I don't know what his status was prior to UCF. Maybe he's redshirting for another year. So maybe there's redshirt implications involved. But crowded running back room. It's an embarrassment of riches in the running back room.
At Lonely B UCF, how many sacks will John Walker have in 2024 against UCF? Terrible question. I dislike this question.
50-50 chance, though, Trace.
I know. At Rejoice Nights, UCF dominated OSU in every phase of the game. Is that what fans can expect as the standard? You know, the standard is the standard, Adam, for this team for the remainder of the season, or was it an anomaly? Don't know. Guess we're going to find out.
Important update. Pooh is in the game right now. Poopa Warakunakro is in the game right now. That means UCF is winning handily, 70-44. Sorry, Joyce.
Love Pooh, but when he's in, you know that the game.
I just was impressed I said his name correctly. That's all I want to do was just show that off.
You've been practicing it.
Poopa Warakunakro. Yes, I have. Yes. I cannot say this guy's name with the free throw line. Kome Umador. Is that right? Okay.
I believe that's correct.
Okay.
When you go on UCFnights.com and to the roster, you can click the
hit the ear button. I gotcha. That's cheating, though.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
At UCF Hot Take, what's the over-under on trick gadget plays against Texas Tech? Since Gus only ran one this week. Dude's going to be jonesing for 3-4. I think at least one.
Patrick Nurse sighting on TV, by the way, at least 2.
At Clay _ Pasco, now that the possibility of bowl game is on the horizon, which bowl would you want UCF to play in, and what opponent would you want them to play? Let's stack these bowl game questions up at Wander Nights. How far would you travel to see UCF in a bowl game? Does your answer change if the record is 7-5 instead of 6-6? And then Mike, emptiness 4. If both teams end up at 6-6, would you want to face the Cows in the Gasparilla Bowl or prefer someone else?
We need some time for that Cows rivalry to breathe. Like, let's let that breathe for a couple of years. Bring it back. It'll be more exciting. I'm not into that right now. In terms of the other parts, I'm more about location and matchup. So if you give me a good location, a good matchup, those are probably the two things that factor the most. It won't be record. It won't be, time of day. Give me a good location. Give me a matchup. Those are the two things I'd probably consider most.
Well, you just said to me that you're going December 23 to the Birmingham Bowl. UCF, Illinois is one of the...
No, I said I'm not going to that, if you heard that correctly. Although that trophy, if we win that trophy, I want to see us holding up a very pantsless gentleman as our trophy presentation for the Birmingham Bowl.
I will say this. If you can't be in a better bowl, being in a bowl that the majority of your fans can go to would be preferable. Cure Bowl is now in the bounce house. Tampa is, UCF's other hometown and playing in the Gasparilla Bowl. I'm not so gigged about playing the Cows, but Gators weren't interested in playing UCF a couple years back either. Final score from the arena: UCF moves to what is it? 3-1, 2-1,
2-1,
2-1, 72-44 over Fullerton, and now move on to this Jacksonville Classic held in St. Augustine.
When did it become Fullerton? I thought it was always Cal State Fullerton. Did they drop to Cal State?
Maybe we should respect that, like Central Florida. At Zeebles, UCF Gus may be in the land of Woo Big Suey Sooney. What's your ideal next head coach? Mike with the top 5. It started off strong and it unraveled quickly with some of his selections.
Yeah, give me. I have no idea. Give me Jamie Chadwell from Liberty. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think he's going anywhere. I'm not going to consider this too serious. 2 letters, 2 words. May have already been a contributor in this show. If another school were to hire Gus away, would you be okay promoting Hinshaw to head coach? Yeah, I would be okay with that. GJ Kinney also interests me.
I feel like we're in a spot now where we would want somebody with previous head coaching experience. I feel like we're in a spot now where first timers maybe wouldn't be the first path to take. So it's not a knock on Hinshaw, but give me somebody with a little bit of experience, especially in the Big 12.
And Terry Mahajer wants a splash hire at that position, so he'd go for some sort of name.
Splash.
JP Gilbert, will you all come to the house party I'll be throwing when Gus is hired by Arkansas or some other SEC school? The disrespect for the Dodd Coach of the Week, JP Gilbert.
Any party JP's having, I'll be there because I know he's going to have seltzer. So I will be there for the seltzer alone.
Drew V. Prime, when is Mike getting his Twitter back? That seems to be.
Yeah, look, he's actually, spoiler alert, he's trying to get his Twitter back, but it sounds like there's some challenges. He can't open the mailbox, where they may have mailed him that. He's not really good with the technology thing. He's efforting to do that. And so he may become, I think he misses it a little bit.
And we miss him a little bit as well on the Twitter. At UCF Mayor, will Trace catch a tortilla during the game? Will his adopted favorite team give him Jello shots? I'll be honest with you. Anybody handing out Jello shots, I don't care what team it is. I'm game for it.
What if it's a tortilla flavored Jello shot?
Tortilla. But I like the recommendations from Albie.
That's oddly boxed for Lubbock, Trace, for a tortilla flavored. I didn't mean to blaspheme anybody on that one.
So have you found FS2 on your dial?
I do. I have it already locked and loaded. It's not in my favorites, but I have it locked and loaded, ready to go.
What is the pregame entertainment prior to that? Is it drag racing? Is it horse racing?
No, I think I told you that. I think it's
Seattle Sounders.
Chase to the Cup, Seattle Sounders MLS championship run, I believe, is on before the game. So check that out. It may be fun.
Oh, boy. I want to thank Andrew Cherico for his live shots from the arena. UCF victorious in men's basketball. Tyson Hinshaw for breaking down the Knights for us. And Albie from the Tortillas and Takes, a podcast part of the 1012 Network. We thank you for being with us. All those traveling out to Lubbock, you be safe. I'll see you on a bright early Friday morning flight if you're on that one through Dallas into Lubbock. For Adam Eaton, I'm Trey Strelko. Go Knights!
Charge on.
I'm Kobe Hudson, and thanks for watching the Sons of UCF.